Good evening, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are back to cover the Middle East situation. I had to take a little break to attend a family event, so we did not stay on as long as normally we would, but I decided to come back on because I am back, and we'll do some more coverage and talk some more about the Middle East and get some updates on what is going on and take some more of your comments. So, in theory, on a normal day, we would have just stayed on the air, but had to go do that, so I wanted to come on and do some more coverage. We are looking at Beirut and also the Israel-Lebanon border on the east side. It's a bit windy there, so I turned down the volume on that border camera, but I'll turn it up if the wind holds off. What is this here about? Hold on. I just saw something. I want to look it up here. Give me one moment. Where is that sound coming from? Oh, there's a new Beirut shot. So the Beirut camera just switched. See that? This is the Beirut view now. It's kind of a nice shot of Beirut right there. There it is right there. So we have two shots of Beirut. But I'm keeping the audio only on from the... Yeah, I only have the audio on from the border camera because I think we're more likely to hear more from that one. Al Ghad TV, which is an Arabic language news outlet, reports 6 dead and a number of injured after Israel hit several homes in Gaza in Jabalia camp. I've seen some reports of fighting tonight in Gaza, in Jabalia, Gaza. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't have a Gaza camera right now. Oopsie. Hang on. Jabalia is in northern Gaza. It's too bad I don't have the Gaza... Oh, I do have a Gaza camera. Hold on. I wonder if we can see anything. I do have a Gaza border camera. I should put that on. Let me get rid of... Hold on. Let me do something here. I'm going to put the Gaza border camera on. I don't know if we'll see anything or hear anything, but I'm going to put the Gaza border camera on. That's the Gaza border camera. Probably should put that in the middle. I'm going to do that. Put this over here, this over here. I don't know if we'll see anything on this camera. But we might. You never know, because there's fighting going on in northern Gaza. Make that a little bigger for you, maybe. Like that. Okay. Then we have Beirut up here. I know it's windy. It's windy on this camera. turning down that camera a bit. All right. And then this one, can I mess with the brightness at all? Is that going to help anything? I don't think so. No, the brightness is not really doing much. I mean, that's better than, it's a little better like that, but it's not really much different. Anyways, well, we'll keep an eye on the Gaza border cam. I don't know if we'll see anything there. Just saw a police car drive by. But anyways, you know, because I just heard, I didn't even realize I had that camera. Yeah, so if you look here on the map, there's reports tonight of, oh, is there a rocket alert? Is there a rocket alert right now? Hold on, rocket alert. Rocket alert right now. The rocket alert is in it's northern Golan. Northern Golan Heights. Right there. Merom Golan. There's the SOFAR rocket alert map. This is the Golan Heights. Oh, I just saw another one. Oh, no, hostile aircraft intrusion. We have a hostile aircraft intrusion alert, a drone alert in Golan Heights. You can see it says hostile aircraft intrusion. This is a drone alert. Maybe a drone coming in from Syria, from the east, maybe. But that is a hostile aircraft alert. So we'll have to wait and see what is reported about that. Those happen every once in a while. It's not that unheard of. It's fairly regular. So I'll let you know what I hear about that. Okay. Hey, let me. Okay, now that we got the cameras up, let me say thanks to our moderators. We have Beth Mythical, Ruth Krafasi, Sabrina Roberts, May Queen. They're all there on YouTube. Linda Belk and Larry on X. Thank you for moderating over there. Big Ball of Yarn, Good Luck Duck, and Surly Dev are over there on Twitch. Thanks for modding there. And thanks Mateus80 for subscribing on Twitch. I appreciate that. Thanks to our Facebook mods as well. I'm hearing some booms, I think, on the northern camera. I gotta make sure, it's possible we'll hear stuff on the Gaza camera. Hold on, let me see. What kind of sound are we getting out of the Gaza camera? There is sound on the Gaza camera. Just so you know. Hold on, this is the Gaza camera sound. So there's a drone on the Gaza camera. Hear that? Okay, guys, these booms are coming from the Gaza camera. We just heard a boom on the Gaza camera. The Israel Gaza camera. That's interesting. So just to show you what we're talking about here, there's fighting reported in Jabalia, which is here. Now this camera, I'm not sure, this camera could be in Beirut. If it's in Stay Road, it's not far from Jabalia. It's only a few miles away. You know, so the camera down here is not going to pick up stuff in northern Israel. That's all the way up here. Lebanon is up here. So it's interesting that we can hear periodic booms on the Gaza camera. I'm going to leave the sound on from that. I'll put the sound on both. I don't know. I'm going to leave the sound on both the Israel-Gaza border camera and the Israel-Lebanon border camera. And if we hear booms, we might have to stop one or the other to figure out which camera is playing the booms. Steph saw a small flash on the bottom camera. All right, now what is that boom from? Is that from, which border camera is that from? I don't know. If I hear it again, I'll turn off one of them. I just checked the time code. I did not see a flash at that time code. Hey, by the way, a quick thank you. Thanks so much to Disco Pickle for your support. Thank you to Rick D for the gift memberships. That's really nice of you. Thank you, Donna Smith, for the gift memberships. And Dodger Blue for the gift memberships. Thank you so much. Thank you, Me, for the gift memberships. It's really nice of you. Rick D, you've been so generous, Rick D. Thanks for the donation. Much appreciated, Rick D. Thank you, Shadows6530 for the gift membership. Thank you, Shadows. Evil Bunny, thank you for the gift membership. Also, Kevin Chard, thanks for your support, Kevin. And our new member, Canadian, thank you. So anyways, for the first time in a while, we have a Gaza camera up because there's fighting in northern Gaza. Which is not far, in theory, not far from that camera, if that camera is where I think it is. What is this? I'm reading about an attempted car attack in Tokyo? Hold on. Hang on a second. I gotta turn this camera down because it's too windy. I'll leave it up for a second. I don't see this anywhere. AFP is talking about an attempted car attack in Tokyo. Was that today or before? Somebody threw something at a party headquarters. Is this today? I'm seeing some people report this. Hold on. Let me just take a second. It's a little off topic, but I gotta just figure out what happened. TV Asahi News in Japan says a 49-year-old man was arrested on suspicion of obstructing official business after throwing a smoke bomb at a police officer in front of the Prime Minister's residence. Okay, that's what it was. All right. I'm not going to linger on that, but just so you know, that's what it was. All right, let's get you some updates here. I'll let you know when I hear more about that hostile aircraft alert in the Golan Heights. Okay. Hang on here. I want to discuss a bit the whole thing with Sinwar. So I know many of you know this. We covered it yesterday. Israel on Wednesday killed the leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar. I have to wait for that to go by. So there's been a lot of talk about what that will mean, Sinwar's death. Paprika Pauline says, I don't think anyone wants his job. Well, I don't know if anybody, people might not want to be named publicly. I don't know. See, we just heard another boom, and I don't know if that's coming from the Lebanon border or the Gaza border. We'll keep an ear out. But I saw something, we didn't get a chance to look at this on our previous stream today, and I want to mention this to you. There's some analysis here in the Washington Post. Sinwar's killing a blow, but not a death knell for Hamas. Sinwar's killing a blow, but not a death knell for Hamas, analysts say. So I wanted to show you what some analysts are saying about how this is going to impact Hamas. So let's just read. I won't read every word of the article, but I want to read you a little of this article. Few Palestinian leaders had gained a reputation like Yahya Sinwar's. He was at once a ruthless militant leader hunted by Israel and a man many Palestinians saw as an ardent defender of their cause. His death Wednesday was a triumph for the Israeli military, but also held symbolic significance in a grinding year-long war that has killed more than 42,000 Palestinians. The former head of Palestinian civil affairs for the Israeli military said that it is the greatest achievement of Israel since the beginning of the war. But we shouldn't get into euphoria, and we should not forget that the war is not over. For Hamas, the group that Sinwar led, his loss is a serious setback, analysts said, but it probably won't be a death knell for the movement or bring an immediate end to the bloodshed. Hamas has survived the assassinations of multiple leaders over the decades, its staying power a testament to the depth of anger and disillusionment among Palestinians over Israel's occupation and the repeated failure of U.S.-sponsored peace talks. A professor at London School of Economics, Fawaz Gerges, said Sinwar was seen by many Palestinians and millions of Arabs and Muslims as an iconic figure who dared to stand up and defy Israel. Still, he said, this fight is not about one person or one leader. Israel will find itself in the same place in the morning after it declared that Sinwar is dead. It does not really resolve Israel's strategic predicament. A former major general in Israel, Yaakov Amidror, said that Israel has severely degraded Hamas's military capabilities to the point where Hamas today cannot attack Israel. But, says the Washington Post, says this expert, Yaakov Amidror, a former major general in Israel, he said, Hamas has morphed into a potent guerrilla force, continuing to engage in fierce street battles with Israeli troops inside Gaza. It also still holds 101 Israeli hostages, several dozen of whom are believed to be still alive, and remains strong enough to kill any substitute in a post-war scenario. This is not, and another expert that the Washington Post talked to, a political science professor in Gaza, said, it's not going to be the end of Hamas. He said of Sinwar's death. Oh, this professor is now at Northwestern University. He says Hamas, at the end of the day, look at themselves as a national liberation movement, that they are fighting against the Israeli occupation. And if one leader dies, another one will pick up and fight and continue. That is what has been going on for many years. A Turkish-based Palestinian political analyst close to Hamas, Ibrahim Madoun, said, this marks a heroic end for a brave man, especially since he was martyred on the front lines alongside his soldiers. The Washington Post talked to Mohammed Abu Ghali, a man who was living in a tent in Khan Yunis, Gaza, after being displaced during the war. He said that the circumstances of Sinwar's death prove that Sinwar never laid down his weapon. He wasn't hiding in tents or in a tunnel, as the occupation often claimed. His death is a source of pride for all Palestinians, he added. This is not a victory for Israel. The Washington Post says Sinwar's brother, Mohammed Sinwar, will probably take over Yahya Sinwar's military role in Gaza, analysts said, but he isn't seen as having political potential. The movement may opt not to announce its next political leader for security reasons, said an expert that Washington Post talked to. Or it could follow the standard process of convening its Shura Council, a secretive consultative body elected by Hamas members in Gaza, the West Bank, the diaspora, and Israeli jails, to vote on a new chief. Sinwar's successor will probably be based abroad, said an expert that the Washington Post talked to. That actually lines up. I was reading a couple articles earlier today. I believe I read some on the stream before, but the general. I've seen a couple articles now that say that they think that Sinwar's brother, Mohammed, will be either the military leader in Gaza or one of the military leaders in Gaza, but Gaza will also have a different political leader outside of Gaza. And that's the way it was before a couple months ago. Before a couple of months ago, there were several leading figures in Hamas. Sinwar was the head of Hamas in Gaza, but Ismail Haniyeh was the political head of Hamas, and he operated out of Qatar. But remember, Ismail Haniyeh got assassinated, it's believed, by Israel in Tehran, Iran in July. And after that, Gaza named Sinwar its unified leader, but he only stayed alive another couple more months. Mo Love says, who wants that job? By the way, Mohammed Sinwar is already, I think we read an article before talking about, maybe from the Institute of the Study of War, but talking about how he is already somebody who is targeted by Israel. So I don't get the sense that Mohammed Sinwar, if he becomes like the military leader in Gaza, I don't think that's going to make things more dangerous for him, because I think he is already somebody, from what I understand, that Israel was targeting. Cat Lover says, guess what the future holds for the next one? Wildcat Mahone says, whack-a-mole. Hang on one second here. If you give me somebody gave me a time code, but it needs to be like the time of the clock, the time of the clock in the top left, because then I can go back and look at the video, and say I can actually find the exact time on the video. But anyways, I've also seen a couple articles say what that article said, which was this idea that like they're used to losing leaders, and they will move on, although they've been severely degraded by Israel over the last year. I think it might have been the Institute for the Study of War article, though, that made this point, that if Israel were to just leave Gaza now, then presumably Hamas would just strengthen itself over the years and eventually be attacking Israel again. Where was it here? Yeah, so like this is this article. I'll post a link to this in the chat. Sinwar's death will not end Israeli operations in the Gaza Strip. We were looking at this earlier today from Instute for the Study of War. I really like their website. I'll post a link to this in a second. But they said a ceasefire under Hamas's terms, where Israel just pulls out of Gaza and stops all fighting in Gaza. A ceasefire under Hamas's terms is entirely unacceptable to Israel because it will allow the highly skilled military leadership of Hamas to rebuild and threaten Israel again in the next decade. The rebuilding process may be slow, but a ceasefire that enables Hamas to rebuild by removing Israeli forces that would prevent smuggling between Egypt and Gaza will condemn Israel to fight this war again. A ceasefire under Israeli terms, which includes the maintenance of the Philadelphia corridor, in other words, allowing Israel forces to stay in Gaza, watching over the border between Gaza and Egypt, that would enable Israeli forces to ensure Hamas cannot resupply itself and rebuild the capabilities it's used in the past to threaten Israel. We just heard a boom, which may have been from the Gaza border camera, but it's an interesting perspective. If you're Israel, you don't want to just end fighting in Gaza and then you leave and the remnants of Hamas just rebuild themselves. Now, Jay Dredd says it is occupation if Israeli troops stay on the Egypt-Gaza border. Just if you look at a Gaza map here, this is the border with Israel here. So Israel can control what's going across the border here. But this is the border with Egypt. So Israel wants to have their troops stay in Gaza. In one place they want them to stay is all along this border, called the Philadelphia corridor. So they can monitor what's coming in and out of Gaza from Egypt, including underground. All right, we got to figure out where these booms are coming from. I'm going to turn off the top. I'm going to turn off the Lebanon border camera volume. And let's see if we can still hear any booms. We're hearing booms on one of the cameras. It's either the Gaza border camera or the Lebanon border camera. Could be both, actually. I'm not hearing booms at the moment. Let's switch the audio. Now this is the, what did I do here? Oh. This is now the Israel-Lebanon border camera volume. Bet I won't be able to tell. Well, it was coming from one of them. I'll leave them both on, and I'll leave the volume on both of them. And then if it starts ramping up on one of them, we'll figure out which one it is. Lord Hasselwash thinks the last boom was the Lebanon border camera. No, it's not easy to rewind the cameras. I mean, in theory, I could do something, but it would just take a long time and it's a pain in the butt. So I'm not going to do that right now. Let me read some of your comments here. Hold on. Laika Chalataya says, need to promote a strong democratic option for Gaza, not PLO. Or you mean not the Palestinian Authority? Blue Bomber says, people are saying Jabalia camp is being bombed. Yeah, the Jabalia camp, which is an urban area in Gaza, you can think of it like a city. There's reports of fighting there tonight, which is why I decided to put on the Israel-Gaza border camera, because that camera, I think, if it is where I think it is just a few miles away from Jabalia. I'm doing a quick check here to see if I can find out anything more. That sounds like it was the Lebanon border right there. That one. But Lebanese media is not posting about any airstrikes in recent minutes. Thanks, by the way, to Jellyfish Sinatra for your support. Thank you, Jellyfish Sinatra in Canadian. Thank you for the gift memberships. And Maisie H. And Sega, thank you. And Rick D gave more memberships. Thank you so much, Rick D. That's so kind of you. Thank you, Rick D. Albert S's. Thank you, Albert, for becoming a member. And Jellyfish Sinatra gave gift memberships. Thank you so much, Jellyfish Sinatra. And thank you again, Sega. And Choctaw Native, who gave gift memberships. Wow. Please thank somebody if they give you a gift membership or a gift subscription. Thank you, I Am Fatness. I appreciate that very much. Also, Jellyfish Sinatra again. And Sega again, thank you. And Maine, Mairi Seon, thank you. Dolores Wilson as well. Thanks for your support, Dolores Wilson. Thanks for the gift membership, Beast Mom. And thanks so much, Adrian R. Very kind of you. Adrian R., thank you. Lebanese evacuations. Well, I know that in Lebanon, about a quarter of the population reportedly has been dislocated, has had to move, or relocated. As to how many people have left the country, I believe tens of thousands at least have gone to, maybe more. Maybe it's like in the hundreds of thousands that have crossed the border to Syria. I don't have an exact number though. We've read stories on that. Yeah, I mean, as of 2 weeks ago, the UN Human Rights Commission, as of 2 weeks ago, said almost 200,000 people, mainly Syrians and Lebanese, have left Lebanon and headed to Syria, which would be about, like 3% of the population. Now, a lot of Lebanese came to Syria. A lot of Syrian people fled the Syrian civil war to Lebanon. So some of those people might be going back, but many people have been displaced. But I don't know exactly how many have left the country. Our viewer somebody said they didn't get a notification. Please make sure you're signed up to our notifications because they work really well. The ones that we have set up, they're free. They're done through Discord. You can sign up for those if you'd like. The mods will post the link in the chat. The link is also in the description of this video. Also, you can always check our X account because I always post there before we go live. So you can always go to @AgendaFreeTV on X. Oops, I don't know. Why is it? Oh, it's like showing me things. It was on the For You, and it was just throwing things up on the For You timeline of Agenda Free TV. The only account I actually follow from that account is myself, but it was posting stuff on my. Oh, I don't know. Everything's messed up now. I see. Okay. Now it's good. Now we're back. Yeah, so that's the account, Agenda Free TV on X. You can always check there too, because I always post when we're going live on that account as well. Jen Rob mentions the report that Israel was asking for a second THAAD battery. I saw one report about that today where Times of Israel said that Channel 12 Israel said it. That's the only time I've seen that today. That according to Times of Israel, Channel 12 Israel reported that Israel was asking for a second THAAD battery from the U.S. I don't know if that's true. That's probably from the Lebanon border. Ryan Smith says we have only 7. I believe you're right about that. Yeah, the Times of Israel said that Channel 12 Israel said that that Israel was requesting a second THAAD battery, that missile defense THAAD battery. That's not confirmed, by the way. Are any of these from the Gaza camera? I don't know. Let me turn off the Lebanon audio again. All right, so right now it's just the Gaza border audio. We'll see if we hear anything. Thank you so much, Zanti Misfit, who says Middle East war ball of confusion. Thank you also, Aloha Tarantula and Evil Bunny. Thanks, Evil Bunny, for the gift membership. And RJ Luke, thank you. And thanks for subscribing, Tander62 on Twitch. Thank you, Tander62. All right, well, I didn't hear anything. Now I'm going to put the other audio back on as well. Now we have both border audio on. Alpha Omega says there's one THAAD missile system only capable of stopping 48 missiles. They can launch 48 interceptors out of 6 trucks, but you can reload them. You can reload them, so over time you can fire more than 48 interceptors. But I believe it takes a little while to reload. The Independent says that reloading takes about 30 minutes. THAAD is a system with interceptors on trucks that can shoot down incoming missiles. That's what it is. You can see a picture right there from Wikipedia. And the U.S. has sent one of their systems to Israel. The Home Front Command of Israel says that the hostile aircraft event has ended. I don't know what happened, but the event is over. So that hostile aircraft intrusion alert we heard about 20 minutes ago, the event is over. I'll let you know if we hear more about what happened. Ruth thinks the booms we just heard sound different. Heard a little gunfire too. Am-wise, I don't know where you got that story, but I would check your sourcing on it. I'm not seeing that anywhere. Am-wise. Some sort of boom there. But thank you, Am-wise, for your support. I really appreciate it. I'm not seeing that story anywhere. Also, thank you to our new member, D. Gausser. Thank you, R.S. Pat, for the gift memberships. Very nice of you. And thank you so much, Zonti Misfit. Thank you, Zonti Misfit, for your support. You are hearing a little gunfire, and again, I have the audio on from both border cams. Then when I turn one off, I don't hear anything on the other. Makes it hard to figure out what's going on. There's too much wind on this one. Too windy. It's the wrong one. Thank you, RJ Luke. I appreciate that. By the way, I should mention that Cuba is still without power. Last I saw, Cuba is still without power. They've been without power for hours and hours. The whole country. All day, pretty much. Patrick Oppman from CNN says, as of less than an hour ago, the city, the whole island is without power. Let me show you a couple things about that. Oh, I might have a little video. I have a video I can show you. I'm going to show you a video too. You can see here millions of Cubans lose power after national grid fails. That's from Reuters. They actually have a video about it. So I think I'm going to show you that, and then we'll take a look at the article.
Millions of people in Cuba were without power.
Oh, sorry, you can't hear that. Let me get this on the screen for you. I'm going to show you this video, but I'm going to turn down the audio temporarily on the cams so you can hear the video. Here's the video on Cuba blackout from Reuters. Let's watch this right now.
Millions of people in Cuba were without power on Friday after the island's largest and most efficient power plant failed, the energy minister said. Earlier in the day, the government had shut down schools and non-essential industry and sent most state workers home in a bid to keep the lights on. President Miguel Diaz-Canel said on X that, quote, there will be no rest until power is restored. Grid officials said they did not know how long it would take. The outage comes as residents are already struggling with shortages of food, fuel, water, and medicine. This resident says the situation looks bleak.
Muy fuerte, muy fuerte. It's too hard. Too hard. This is in decline, and there are more and more blackouts. This is on the verge of total collapse.
While demand for electricity grows, fuel supply has all but dried up on an island that produces comparatively little of its own. Prime Minister Manuel Marrero spoke on national TV on Thursday. He said the blackouts were due to the situation well known to most Cubans: deteriorating infrastructure, fuel shortages, and rising demand. Dangerous weather conditions that began with Hurricane Milton last week crippled the country's ability to deliver fuel to power plants from boats offshore, officials said. The government has also long blamed the U.S. Cold War-era embargo and sanctions under former President Donald Trump for difficulties in acquiring fuel and spare parts to operate its oil-fired plants. Cuba's largest oil supplier, Venezuela, has also reduced shipments in the first 9 months of the year, according to vessel monitoring data and internal shipping documents. Russia and Mexico have also greatly reduced fuel shipments to the island. Earlier on Friday, Cuban electricity officials said they expect power generation to improve in the coming days, as the weather allows fuel from prior deliveries to be distributed around the island.
Well, there you go.
Millions of people...
There you go. I know it's not our topic, but it's kind of big news, so I wanted to mention it. Reuters says the blackout in Cuba marks a new low point on an island where life has become increasingly unbearable, with residents already suffering from shortages of food, fuel, water, and medicine. The electricity shortages had already, before the blackout today, prompted officials to cancel all non-vital government services. Schools, including universities, were shuttered through Sunday. Recreational and cultural activities, including nightclubs, were also ordered closed. Officials in the mid-afternoon said they had begun taking steps to restore power, but the process would take time. Virtually all commerce, all business in the capital, Havana, ground to a halt today. Many residents sat sweating on doorsteps. Tourists hunkered down in frustration. A Brazilian tourist told Reuters, "We went to a restaurant and they had no food because there was no power, and now we are also without internet. In 2 days here, we have already had several problems." The Prime Minister blamed worsening blackouts during the past several weeks on a perfect storm well known to most Cubans: deteriorating infrastructure, fuel shortages, and rising demand. The fuel shortage is the biggest factor, he said in a televised message. Strong winds that began last week with Hurricane Milton has crippled the island's ability to deliver scarce fuel from boats offshore to its power plants. Interesting. The power plants, I guess, need the fuel to run. Yes, they have oil-fired power plants. While demand for electricity has grown in Cuba, as Cuba's private sector has grown, fuel supply has evaporated. Cuba's largest oil supplier, Venezuela, has reduced shipments by about half from last year. Venezuela has tried to avoid a new wave of fuel scarcity at home, having smaller volumes available to export to countries like Cuba. Russia and Mexico, which in the past have sent fuel to Cuba, also have greatly reduced shipments to them this year. The shortfalls have left Cuba to fend for itself on the far costlier spot market at a time when its government is near bankrupt. Wow. Anyways, it's a bit off topic, but they have been without power. I think it was like around noon today or something. Yes, as of around 5 hours ago, it was the 5th hour, according to Patrick Oppman. So they've been had a total blackout on the island for like 10 hours now and counting. Anyway, so I wanted to just get you updated on that. Oh, let me put the audio back on in the cameras. Look, I see a flash says, poverty is bad in Cuba, but I love going. Lots of Canadians go. We're hearing more booms on one of the cameras. I don't know which camera that was from either. Reuters says Netanyahu faces pressure to end fighting in Gaza after killing of Sinwar. So windy on that Gaza camera from Lebanon border. Reuters says the killing of Israel's most wanted enemy Yahya Sinwar has been hailed as a vindication for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, but in a country weary of a year of war, it also raises pressure on him to end the fighting and save the hostages still in Gaza. Netanyahu himself described Sinwar's death as the beginning of the end of the Gaza war, and says it could end if Hamas lays down its arms and returns the 101 hostages. This is still loud, this camera. I gotta turn it down more. Expert Shira Efron, who Reuters talked to, said, I think what we have now is an opportunity to use this moment in Gaza to close the front in Gaza. With Sinwar dead, the fear that a deal would reward the architect of the October 7th attacks on Israel has gone, says Reuters. Yet it remains unclear how Hamas will respond to the death of their leader. On Friday, the deputy head of Hamas, Khalil al-Hayya, said Israeli hostages would not be returned until Israel aggression ends and its forces withdraw. Some of Netanyahu's hardline political allies, including his finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, says Israel should not stop before the, quote, complete surrender of Hamas. But with the White House talking about a potential inflection point in the war, even many supporters of Israel's hitherto uncompromising approach said there was an opportunity to end the fighting. Carmel Arbit at the Atlantic Council said the addition of Sinwar to the list of people Israel has taken out could give Netanyahu a potential off-ramp from Gaza. But Sinwar's death alone does not guarantee the circumstances necessary for Netanyahu to declare an end to the war, as so many hope, she said. Much will depend on who succeeds Sinwar, says Reuters. Israel has said it must maintain security control over Gaza when combat operations end, but it has otherwise not revealed any detailed ideas for running Gaza beyond rejecting any role for Hamas or the Palestinian Authority. So, how will Sinwar's death affect things? Are we closer to a ceasefire deal, a hostage deal now than before, or not? What's going to happen there? I don't know. I'm going to ask you guys if in the next 6 months, Jill LeBlanc says that's the big question I have too. Laika thinks need change in Iran for change in Gaza. Mai Seon thinks it's not even about the hostages anymore. Let me ask you a poll question. Will there be a ceasefire deal in Gaza in the next 6 months. 6 months. That's the question. 6 whole months. Shaggy thinks Netanyahu needs the war in Gaza, so nothing is going to change. Hearing some booms. Hold on. I have sound on both border cameras. So again, I feel like that's a long amount of time to give you on this poll question. 6 months. Will there be a ceasefire deal in Gaza in the next 6 months? A whole other 6 months. Oopsie. Let me show you what you're saying. YouTube, no, 73% no. Think about the Palestinian, the people, the civilians in Gaza, the roughly 2 million people there who are living in a country that's just been devastated. Most of the buildings have been destroyed or damaged there. Economically, it is in just a terrible, terrible condition. But you think that even 6 months from now, no ceasefire deal. Let's see what people say over there on Twitch. On Twitch, it is not much different. 77% of people on Twitch say no ceasefire deal in the next 6 months. People are pessimistic. Eliza Crohan thinks sooner than 6 months. Krogan? Lil Rena says depends on who's in charge 6 months from now. In the U.S. or Hamas? Space Fraggle in WZZ says we are realistic. Corey Carroll thinks if there's not a ceasefire within 6 months, there will be an all-out war by then. B. Walters thinks it's all going to stop when Trump comes back. Apparex1A says, until all hostages are back, the war has no time frame. I think that person was talking about the end of the war. About ceasefire. Extreme Tiger says there basically isn't a Gaza left. Mr. M says there won't be a ceasefire, only a total and complete occupation. All right, thanks for voting in the poll. Big Sky says, ain't stopping no matter who wins the elections in the U.S. By the way, in case you didn't hear it earlier, we talked about this earlier on our earlier stream today. zoom on one of the cameras. Both CNN and the New York Times talked to the pathologist, the doctor that was the head of the examination of Sinwar's body. He oversaw the autopsy, Dr. Chen Kugel, and he told both CNN and the New York Times that Sinwar died due to a gunshot in the head. But it was unclear. He didn't know who fired the shot. He didn't say who fired the shot. But he said he examined the body and he is convinced that Sinwar died from a gunshot to the head. He did have a hole in his head. Gunfire. It's probably on the Lebanon border. Hold on. If it happens again, I'll figure out what camera it was on. I don't know what camera that was on. It's hard to tell which one it's on. If I hear it again, I'll just cut off one of the cameras and see what happens. Anyways, again, both CNN and New York Times are saying that they talked to the head of the autopsy in Israel on Sinwar's body, and he said that he was killed by a gunshot wound to the head. Now, I believe he was found with a gun. So I don't know if he took his own life or the Israeli forces shot him or what. Singularity says, do you think Israel's response to Iran has been delayed over Sinwar? I have no idea. It's a good question. I have no idea if it'll delay things. Do not know. It is so windy on this camera. Turning down that camera it's on the Lebanon border camera is really windy. Didn't the drone shoot him? We hadn't heard that the drone shot him. Some of our viewers, like Fawn Spy, think that he had an exit wound in his head. Morgan XX says he won't give up his perceived martyrdom by killing himself. The doctor who led the autopsy said that he had a tourniquet. He was using an electrical cord as an impromptu tourniquet on his arm. So, no, the doctor did not think the head wound, he did not think he died from shrapnel in the head. He was convinced it was a bullet in the head. So we'll see if we end up hearing more about that from the Israeli military. Brandy Reading thinks he thought he would be able to hide and survive until drone saw him, and then he offed himself because he knew what was coming. Dean R. says he looked like he knew he was defeated. Southern gal thinks we'll never know the real truth. More gunfire. I can't tell what camera's on. I think maybe the Lebanon camera. It's very faint. I have the Gaza border camera on because there's been some fighting reported in northern Gaza. So I thought we actually were hearing some stuff on that camera earlier. If that camera is where I think it is, it's a few miles from Jabalia, northern Gaza, where fighting has been reported. Oh, the IDF gave an update on the drone alert. The IDF announces, following the sirens that sounded about an hour ago, we showed that. Following the drone alert sirens about an hour ago in the northern Golan area, a drone that was fired from the east, I assume that's Syria, was identified crossing into Israeli territory from the area of Syria. A fallen target was identified in the area. No injuries were reported. Sounds like they didn't even shoot it down. I don't know though, but they just say a fallen target was identified. No injuries were reported. So that's an update on the drone alert. The drone alert was in, I can show you. From the SOFAR map, the drone alert was here in the Golan Heights. So east of that would be Syria. Syria is up here. It's in here. Syria. Thanks again to the moderators here, like Big Ball of Yarn, Good Luck Duck, McBritches, and Surly Dev. Thank you. Also, K. Lowry Body, Paul Anderson, Margaret Riley on Facebook. Thanks for modding over there. Ronald Egnor. Thanks, Marie Minicello, for subscribing, and Diane Allworth for subscribing on Facebook. Thanks to our YouTube moderators, like Beth Mythical, Roberts May Queen, Cynthia Moon, Linda Belk, and Larry on X. Thank you. Thank you, JP, for your support. Are we still expecting an attack on Iran? Yes, we are. President Biden today said he knew when it was going to be and what it was going to be, but he's not going to comment on it. R.J. Luke also, thank you, R.J. Luke, for your support. Thank you. Also, Xproxify, our new member, thank you. And Dodger Blue, thanks so much. Al Jazeera reports 5 minutes ago, Israel artillery shelling targets the upper floors of the Al-Auda hospital in Tal al-Zatar, northern Gaza Strip. Now, I'm assuming it's no longer being used as a hospital in the northern Gaza Strip there, but for all I know, there's people taking refuge there. I assume Israel believes there's a Hamas target or targets there. But again, that was just 5 minutes ago. They said this was in Tal al-Zatar in the northern Gaza Strip, not northern Lebanon. Which I cannot find. Also, I have another report here for you from tonight. The Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades which are a Palestinian they're a coalition of Palestinian armed groups. According to Palestinian Information Center account, they say that the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade say they are engaged in fierce clashes with Israeli enemy forces who are storming Balata camp in Nablus in the West Bank with machine guns and explosive devices. So reports of clashes between Palestinian armed groups and Israeli forces in the West Bank in Nablus. That is too windy. Santa Frog, our viewer, says it seems that the Israelis think they can kill their way to acceptance. For Oars, Don Coase says, I'm optimistic for a Gaza and even Lebanon ceasefire before 6 months' time, but there are so many loose ends to this spiraling out of control and totally uncertain endgame. Thank you also, Joe South Oz, for your support. I appreciate it, Joe South Oz. In case you missed it, Hezbollah says its war with Israel is entering a new phase. They said this yesterday. Don't know what that means exactly. AP says Lebanon's Hezbollah militant group said today, I think this morning, early today, it is entering a new phase in its fight against invading Israeli troops as the region reckons with the killing of top Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. We read you that yesterday. I'll read that again. Hold on. From Hezbollah. I got to pull it up here. There's a boom there. Where is the thing? Where is their statement about the new phase? Let's see. Yes, Hezbollah said, based on the directives of the resistance leadership, the Islamic Resistance Operations Room announces the transition to a new and escalating phase in the confrontation with the Israeli army, which will be discussed in the course of the coming days. I don't know what that means. Are they just bluffing after weeks and weeks of punishing strikes from Israel? Are they really in a position to launch a new expanded phase of attacks against Israel? I have no idea. But that's what they said yesterday, or earlier today. Bernie Ecclestein says suicide bombers. NWE Vaultman says, I feel like they're not bluffing. Someone asked about the lack of light across the border on the Gaza cam. I think we're seeing maybe the edge of Israel there, and then into Gaza. I don't even know that there's any civilian power in northern Gaza these days. I have no idea, but the thing is, well, yeah, there's a lot of obviously destroyed buildings in northern Gaza. That camera, the Gaza camera, may be in Beirut here, maybe. In which case, you'd be looking across the border and then there's farmland. And if it's during the day, I'm guessing maybe you can see some destroyed buildings from this area. But I don't know for sure. Meatball thinks Hezbollah is going to launch some long-range rockets. Yoav says what used to be Gaza. I don't know that this is the same camera angle we were watching like last year. Again, I think it's maybe in the State Road area, but I'm not sure. Now that, I don't know where that's coming from, those booms. Which camera that's coming from. If we get to a point where there's like sustained booms, I'll turn off one of the cameras and figure it out. Oh, looks like the power station on the right. Yeah, is that on the right of the top camera? Is that Ashkelon power station? It might be. So in Ashkelon up here, there's a power station up here, north of Gaza. Where is it? Is it Rutenberg Power Station? There. No. Anyways, so I think maybe you are actually seeing that on the right on the Israel-Gaza border camera. I'm not sure about that, though. But I do remember seeing, I believe we used to see the power station last year. So that might be it. Bob Cam thinks it is. A little news item here from AP today. UN investigator on the right to food insists Israel still conducting a starvation campaign. The UN independent investigator on the right to food insisted Israel is still conducting a starvation campaign in Gaza, despite the delivery of over 1 million tons of aid, including 700,000 tons of food to the territory, since it's launched its military operation a year ago. Michael Fakhri told reporters today that food is not calories and Palestinians have not gotten adequate food or calories. The U.S., Israel's closest ally, recently warned Israel it must increase the amount of humanitarian aid it is allowing into Gaza within 30 days or it could risk losing access to U.S. weapons funding. Fakhri said, based on a year-long starvation campaign and a 24-year blockade and siege, allowing a few more trucks to enter in does not actually address the humanitarian needs. But most importantly, he says, what Israel is saying contradicts everything every humanitarian organization is saying now and has been saying. The UN's Fakhri says humanitarian officials call Israel's rules on what is allowed into Gaza opaque and absurd. Convoys that make it through are often shot at and targeted by Israeli forces despite coordination with Israeli authorities, he said. And then even if those convoys get past that, civilians seeking aid have been shot at and killed several times. Israel's UN mission did not respond to a request for comment on Fakhri's press conference. Also, a related story from today, UK Prime Minister says dire humanitarian situation in Gaza cannot go on. This is from AP as well. The British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has told Israel that the world will not tolerate any more excuses on humanitarian assistance to people in Gaza. Speaking today during a visit to Berlin to meet President Biden and European leaders, Starmer said the dire humanitarian situation cannot continue. Civilians in northern Gaza need food now. Starmer said the killing by Israel of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar should be a precursor to a ceasefire. He says no one should mourn the death of Sinwar, who had the blood of innocent Israelis on his hands, as well as the blood of Palestinians who suffered in the chaos and violence he sought and celebrated. One of the cameras stopped. Which camera was that? We may have lost the audio on the Gaza camera. Hang on. I think the Gaza camera audio temporarily cut out. Prime Minister Keir Starmer of the UK also said that Sinwar's death provides an opportunity for the step towards the ceasefire that we have long called for. Oh, windy. Turning it down a little bit. It's so windy. I will say the longer it goes on in Gaza and there's no ceasefire, I mean, I don't think the humanitarian situation is really going to get much better there until there's a ceasefire. So Israel will face increasing pressure from its allies on Gaza. Brad says it's going to go on in Gaza forever. Seven Eris says, as they always have, every major successful operation Israel has done wouldn't have been possible if they listened to their allies. Oddballs Gaming says they need to hand over all the hostages, no ceasefire. R. Thompson says no one really cares, too many terrorists or terrorist supporters in Gaza. Omberdonker thinks Biden could force Israel into a ceasefire. He's just too spineless to do so. Thank you, Graham Quackers, for your support. No, I do not have any Iran cameras. I'm sorry about that, but I don't have access to any Iran cameras. Thank you, Veritas Justice, for your support. Thank you, Roberts Mayqueen, for your support. One of our moderators. Thank you, Roberts Mayqueen. Oh, I should mention this North Korea story. We haven't talked about this. It's off topic, but I want to mention it anyway. You know what? Give me 1 minute. When I come back, I just need 1 minute. It's windy. We'll talk about North Korea in 1 minute. I just need 1 minute. 1 minute. Put that right up there. Give me 1 minute. I'm coming right back. Windy. Still windy there. That's the Lebanon camera. For the moment, we don't have volume on the other camera. Only on the Lebanon camera. That is from the Lebanon border camera, right there. It hasn't been that active while we've been on the air. Now it is active. Did we get audio back? No. Everything you're hearing is from the Lebanon-Israel border camera. Oops, red logo. Red graphic still up. By the way, I wanted to mention something about the fighting in... Hold on. We're hearing a bunch of booms on the Lebanon camera. Al Arabiya reports an Israeli airstrike on the Al-Maghazi camp in the central Gaza Strip. We have been hearing about some Israeli strikes tonight in Gaza. Palestinian information centers posted a video of an Israeli bulldozer in Nablus, the West Bank. So Israel is operating in the West Bank town of Nablus tonight as well. Just something that is reported today from Gaza. Israeli strikes kill 33 people in Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza, medics say. When you hear refugee camp in Gaza, you shouldn't think of a few tents. What started as smaller camps have over the decades become these urban areas. You can think of it as like an urban area, a city. Reuters says at least 33 people were killed and 85 wounded in Israeli strikes that hit several houses today in Jabalia, the largest of Gaza's 8 historic refugee camps, medics said, where residents said tanks blew up roads and houses. Sorry, too windy. Too windy. Gee whiz, with the wind. Can't even hear myself. I'll turn it down for a second. There was no immediate Israeli comment on this. Other Israeli strikes killed at least 39 Palestinians across Gaza on Friday, 20 of them in Jabalia, the Gaza Health Ministry says. Residents of Jabalia said that Israeli tanks had reached the heart of the camp after pushing through suburbs and residential districts. They said the Israeli army was destroying dozens of houses daily from the air and the ground and by placing bombs in business buildings and detonating them remotely. The Israeli military said its forces, which have been operating in Jabalia for the last 2 weeks, killed dozens of militants in close quarters combat on Thursday, carried out aerial strikes, and dismantled military infrastructure. The Israeli military says its operation in Jabalia in northern Gaza is intended to stop Hamas fighters regrouping for more attacks. Residents say Israeli forces have effectively isolated the far northern Gazan towns of Beit Hanun, Jabalia, and Beit Lahia from Gaza City, blocking movement except for those families heeding evacuation orders and leaving the 3 towns. Residents also said communications and internet services had been cut, disrupting rescue operations. I have a picture for you I want to show you. I got a picture from Jabalia I'm going to show you from Reuters. The pictures you see from Gaza are just crazy. Here is a picture from Jabalia in northern Gaza. And this is from... Now, this is from February, this picture. I guess they ran it with this article today, even though the picture is from February. So, if anything, it's going to be worse there now. But this was Jabalia, Gaza in February. Let me show you this. Look at that. And again, that's in February. So, there's more that's been destroyed there now. I mean, it's really unbelievable. And there's a lot of destruction like that throughout Gaza. Noel J. and Of Time say it looks like World War II. Okay, so I just want to show you that. Hold on, let me turn the volume back up on the camera. Thank you, Martin Gingrich. Martin says, do you think Hamas saw this coming after October 7th, or did they think Israel would hold back? You know, it's an interesting question. There's this question of what did Sinwar think would happen when he attacked Israel? There's different theories about whether he thought Israel would strongly attack them or not, whether he anticipated this. There's different theories out there. What can I tell you? I was reading something about this recently. I don't know if I can remember what it was. It's too noisy. It's too windy. I can't remember where I was reading an article about this, but it was talking about what Sinwar thought was going to happen. So The Economist has an article where they talk a little bit about this from a couple days ago. But they said there are two views of Mr. Sinwar's legacy within Israeli intelligence. Some believe he made a fatal mistake, thinking that the IDF would be too risk-averse to send its soldiers into Gaza City. Hold on, I literally can't hear. It's just too windy. Sorry. So again, there's one view in Israeli intelligence that says Sinwar made a fatal mistake thinking the IDF would be too risk-averse to send its soldiers into Gaza City. Sinwar thought he knew Israeli society and that it had gone soft, says one analyst. Others think he was motivated by fanaticism. Sinwar was fully prepared to sacrifice Gaza and its people, said a senior IDF officer who has spent years studying the Sinwar file. You know, I read there's some people think that Sinwar actually, knew Israel would attack, but that the war would actually make Israel look bad. You know, it has certainly strained Israel's relations with its allies. So, what can I tell you? I don't know what Sinwar was expecting, whether things turned out very differently than he expected. I do not know. At the end, was Sinwar thinking to himself, man, I messed up? Or is he thinking like, oh my gosh, this is so good for the Palestinian cause that we've had Israel like just killing all these people and its allies don't support them as much anymore? I don't know what he's thinking. So Moonshadow says Sinwar expected to be a martyr, so why not? I do not know. Naomi says by Sinwar doing that, he didn't care one bit about his own people in Gaza. Well, look, I mean, maybe, I know what you're saying, but maybe in his mind, he's like, well, yeah, terrible for people in Gaza now, but in the long run, In the long run, maybe he thinks people in Gaza were on a terrible trajectory anyway, and maybe this will help them in the long run. I don't know what his state of mind was. Thank you, Dodger Blue, by the way. Sue says, why is Israel taking so long to respond? I mean, there's all kinds of reasons that we've talked about. You know, maybe there's been disagreement over on Israel on what to do. This is a huge moment responding to Iran. Maybe what they were going to do required preparation time. For example, they wanted to get a THAAD system in from U.S. and set that up. Maybe they felt that they had to talk a lot about what was going to happen with their allies. Maybe now, with this happening to Sinwar, it changes their calculation about what to do with Iran. It has been now 17 days, but I don't know if their plans changed at all. Ali B says, Iran takes some preparation. It's not the same as the proxies. I don't know if the fact that they're, conducting major military operations in both Gaza and Lebanon at the same time slows down the response at all. Thank you so much, Lord Cog. Lord Cog just gave 20 people memberships in the chat. That's so nice of Lord Cog. Thank you. Make sure you thank Lord Cog if he gave you a membership. Did I thank Dodger Blue? Thank you, Dodger Blue. Thank you, Anthony, by the way. Anthony says, trust what the IDF says. They have military intelligence. Robin says, I still can't believe it's been over a year since the attack on October 7th. Is it still a holiday? I think it's technically Sukkot. Sukkot goes for like a week. I think the biggest day of Sukkot is the first day, but maybe the first and last day, I don't know. Wikipedia says the first of the 7 days is a Shabbat-like holiday when work is forbidden. This is followed by intermediate days during which certain work is permitted. The festival is closed with another Shabbat-like holiday at the end. They have a lot of holidays around this time of year. April Coco says, yes, first and last day, October 7th was on the last day last year. Thank you. Good to see you, April Coco. Hey, thank you also to Anthony for your support. I appreciate that, Anthony. Thank you. Simon B says, outside Israel, 2 days of holiday in both the beginning of the and the end. I don't know why the sound. I gotta ask about the sound on the Gaza stream, because the Gaza sound stream is not. We had sound on the Gaza stream. And I think they lost the sound. I'm going to let them know that. Yeah, I'll let them know that they don't have sound on the Gaza stream. We lost that for some reason. And I don't know why. It was working before. Oh, I was going to talk about North Korea. Sorry. I'll talk about North Korea and South Korea. The North Korea sending troops to Russia. Hey, David Ferriello, that's so nice of you. Thank you, David Ferriello. I really appreciate it. Thank you. By the way, our viewer Moose's Backyard says about Cuba, which is in a total blackout right now. I've been to Cuba a few years ago. Their grid is old and depends on oil to generate electricity. Their domestic oil is low quality, and they rely on Venezuela to provide oil. With the post-pandemic economic crisis, they were already suffering with daily blackouts. They've had a blackout today, a total blackout on the island for about, I think, around 11 hours now. Thank you for writing in. John Turpin says maybe Sinwar thought he could bring about World War III. Here's something about North Korea. South Korean intelligence says North Korea has sent troops to aid Russia's war in Ukraine. This isn't on the Middle East, but I figured I'd mention it anyway. If it's a big story, I like to mention it. AP says South Korea's spy agency said Friday that North Korea has dispatched troops to support Russia's war against Ukraine. If confirmed, the move would bring a third country into the war. Well, actually, Iran already sends stuff to Ukraine. Iran sends plenty of drones and reportedly missiles to Ukraine. But I think they mean in terms of manpower. If confirmed, the move would bring a third country into the war and intensify a standoff between North Korea and the West. Hold on. Hearing cats scream on the Lebanon stream. The South Korean announcement came a day after Ukrainian President Zelensky said his government has intelligence that 10,000 troops from North Korea are being prepared to join Russian forces fighting against Ukraine. The National Intelligence Service of South Korea said in a statement that Russian Navy ships transferred 1,500 North Korean Special Operations Forces to the Russian port city of Vladivostok from October 8th to October 13th. It said more North Korean troops are expected to be sent to Russia soon. The North Korean soldiers deployed in Russia have been given Russian military uniforms, weapons, and forged identification documents, South Korea's intelligence service said. It said they are currently staying at military bases in Vladivostok and other Russian sites. and that they will likely be deployed to battlegrounds after completing their adaptation training. They posted on the South Korean intelligence posted satellite and other photos showing what it calls Russian Navy ship movements near a North Korean port and suspected North Korean mass gatherings in Russia this past week. Hang on a second here. South Korean media, citing the intelligence service, reported that North Korea has decided to dispatch a total of 12,000 troops to Russia. South Korean intelligence has a mixed record of finding developments in North Korea, one of the world's most secretive countries. If confirmed, the move would be North Korea's first major participation in a foreign war. North Korea has 1.2 million troops, one of the largest standing militaries in the world, but it has not fought in large-scale conflicts following the 1950 to 1953 Korean War. The head of the NATO Secretary General said, "At this moment, our official position is we cannot confirm reports that North Koreans are actively now as soldiers engaged in the war effort, but that may change." The Pentagon press secretary said yesterday the U.S. could not confirm or corroborate media reports on the North Korean troop dispatch to Russia. North Korea and Russia, says AP, locked in separate confrontations with the West, have sharply boosted their cooperation in the past 2 years. The U.S., South Korea, and their partners have accused North Korea of supplying artillery, shells, missiles, and other conventional arms to Russia to help fuel its war on Ukraine in return for economic and military assistance. Many experts question how much the North Korean troop dispatch would help Russia, citing North Korea's outdated equipment and shortages of battle experience. They say North Korea likely received Russian promises to provide it with high-tech weapons technology associated with its nuclear and missile programs, a move that will complicate U.S. and South Korean efforts to neutralize North Korea nuclear threats. An expert that at Ewa Women's University in Seoul, Korea, Leif Eric Easley said to AP, diplomatically, North Korea would be sacrificing its relations with European countries for the foreseeable future. The quid pro quo in terms of Russian military technology provided to the Kim regime could be significant enough to threaten South Korea's security. Hong Min, an analyst at South Korea's Institute for National Unification, believed Russia has likely offered technology transfers related to intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear-powered submarines, and surface-to-air defense systems that would enhance North Korea's deterrence posture against the U.S. and South Korean forces. Hong said Kim may see the troop dispatch as a crucial opportunity to expose his soldiers to modern weapons technology in warfare and test their combat capabilities. The South Korean president convened an emergency security meeting on this today. Meeting participants agreed that North Korea's troop dispatch poses a grave security threat to South Korea and the international community. Easley, the professor that AP spoke to, in Seoul, South Korea, said it would be surprising if North Korea deployed thousands of soldiers to fight as hired mercenaries. But he added North Korea could have sent construction workers, technicians, engineers, and military intelligence officers to Russian-controlled enclaves. North Korea sent pilots to fight for North Vietnam during the Vietnam War and for Egypt during the Yom Kippur War in 1973, but there have been no known large-scale dispatch of its ground troops overseas. Anyways, that's from Associated Press. I would think maybe if North Korea if Russia is having North Korea send troops to fight for it against Ukraine, that could suggest manpower issues in Russia. Well, I know it's politically, it presents political problems for Putin to increase mobilization there, to start forcing people to go into the army who have not been in the army, who are currently not in the army. So politically, probably better for Putin to get he's been using lots of prisoners to fight in the army, we know that. So politically, probably better for him to get somebody else than regular Russians to fight in the army. But, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It seems like maybe that suggests that they're running low on people if he doesn't want to increase mobilization. Although, who knows? Maybe Putin likes the idea of having this alliance. I don't know. What is Kim Jong-un getting out of it? Well, we just told you in the article, one thing is experts think he could be getting is advanced military technology from Russia. How will North Koreans react to casualties in Ukraine? I don't know if North Korean soldiers are in Ukraine and they die. I don't know how much the North Korean people will really hear about that. We're hearing animals on the Lebanon border, by the way. Oh, are there sounds on the Gaza stream again? Hold on. Why are they telling me there's sound on that stream? Hold on. Hold on a second. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Hold on a moment. Oops, sorry. Hang on. Ah, there's sound there. Sorry. We have sound on the Gaza stream again. And the Lebanon stream. That is the Lebanon border stream. Let me just turn on the sound for the moment on the Gaza border. There's Gaza camera. Now, I don't know. Hold on. Hearing some booms once in a while, but don't know which camera that's from. A couple reports here from Palestinian media. They report Palestinian Information Center says violent artillery shelling targets in northern Gaza at Beit Lahia. Also, they say Israeli tanks surrounded the Indonesian hospital in the northern Gaza Strip and opened fire on its facilities. Again, which my guess is that it's not operating as a hospital anymore. But I don't know that for sure. But my general point is we are hearing about a number of Israeli military operations, artillery, tanks firing, airstrikes tonight in Gaza, specifically northern Gaza. Israel in recent weeks has been conducting new intense operations in northern Gaza. BB thinks the general's plan is in effect. All right, well, look, guys, I don't want to necessarily go too late tonight because, you know, we may do coverage tomorrow, so I prefer to get on earlier if we're doing. I don't know that I don't know for sure we'll do coverage tomorrow, but I prefer to have the opportunity to get on a little earlier. So, you know, we did coverage earlier today, and then I had to take a break to go to a family event, so I wanted to do some more coverage. But I don't have big updates for you right now. So so I think I'm going to start wrapping up this live stream. But certainly we will continue covering more developments in the Middle East and other developments around the world. And I do anticipate doing more election coverage soon. So subscribe and follow the channel, Agenda Free TV. We'll be bringing you more live breaking news coverage of all kinds of news events. And turn on the notifications for the channel. We have a notification system. It works awesome. You subscribe once, it's free. You sign up once for the notifications, it's free, and you get sent a notification whenever we're going live. It's really reliable, so you don't miss a stream. So the mods will post that link in the chat. And you can also find the link to the notifications in the description of this video on Facebook and YouTube. But sign up for the notifications. Also, a quick thank you, by the way, to Brandy Reading, our new member. Thank you. And Chrissy. Chrissy, my answer to your question is I don't know. I do not know. She asked about Hassan Youssef. On Wikipedia, it says he is a Palestinian militant who defected to Israel in 1997 and then moved to the United States. He is known for his outspoken criticisms of Hamas and Islam. I'm assuming he is not in Hamas anymore. So my guess would be no. I'm not very familiar with him, though. Thank you also, John Attard, for the gift memberships. Thank you, John Attard. Thanks to all of you for watching. I appreciate you joining us for our evening stream. And thanks for your news updates that you send me and letting me read your comments on the air and for chatting and a lot of good questions tonight as well. And thanks also to our moderators. Our moderators are so awesome. They're always here. They're keeping the chat under control and respectful and civil. And I really appreciate them. Thanks to them over there on Twitch. I Got That Fire, Mark and NC, McBritches, Surly, and Surly Dev, and all of our other moderators. I missed a couple thank yous on Twitch to Who Shot JR and Tatermong. Tatermong, by the way, gave out 5 community subs, and I missed that. Sorry, Tatermong. Thank you for the gift subs. Thank you to our YouTube mods. We're hearing some booms. My guess is from the Lebanon border camera. Thanks Cynthia Moon, Ruth Krafasi for moderating, Beth Mythical. All of our other YouTube mods. Linda Belk and Larry on X. And also our Facebook moderators like Beth Shepard, Margaret Riley, Kay Lowry Body, Paul Anderson, Ronald Egnor. Thank you, Facebook moderators. And thanks for everybody who donated. That is so nice of you guys. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. You're the ones who allow this channel to exist. So really, really appreciate the support. Thank you. I think I thanked everybody. But thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let's see here. Also, I will post updates, news updates when I'm not on the air to my X account, which is at Lookner on X. I post about all kinds of breaking news there. At Lookner on X. Follow me there. I will post the link in the chat to my X account. A reminder to those who watch on YouTube, if you subscribe over on YouTube, you got to do this extra thing to turn the YouTube notifications on. So I'd suggest having the YouTube notifications on. Good way, another additional way to find out when we're live. But on YouTube, when you subscribe, you got to click the bell after you subscribe, the notifications bell, and then choose all notifications. So YouTube viewers, make sure you click the bell and choose all notifications. Hey, I'm starting to see it get light there on the border camera. Look at that. And also, we do have a chat. You can chat with other viewers for free in our Discord chat room. A lot of viewers like doing that. It's the same link as the notifications link. So check out our Discord chat. Thanks so much to our Discord moderators as well. I want to shout out our Twitch subscribers. Thanks for subscribing over there on Twitch. We're starting to hear more activity on the border camera now. Thank you, Rourke. By the way, when I'm off the air, if I go off the air and then something huge happens, I can always come on the air and do another live stream. LCS Fox, thanks for subscribing on Twitch. Rourke Sweebney, I Rule All. Jack's Animals. Shaggy, Wall Street, Allistic. Chi-Town Bear. Nanok Q. Let's see here. Who else? More booms. Thanks, Who Shot JR, for your support too. All of our other Twitch subscribers, thank you. Ace High. Our Facebook subscribers like Diane Allworth, Eve Richards, Robert Rial II, Margaret Riley, Kay Lowry Body. Thanks to our Marie Minicello. Thanks to our Facebook subscribers. And our YouTube members like Wickedest Witch, My Dog Daisy, Khan, Jorge M, Eric Johnson, Berry, Naomi Nocturnal, Apple Tree, that guy from that thing, Rick D, Danette, Surge Deb, Vegan to Patio, Corn Dogs, Jen Rob, Samurai Conscious, Zinc Man, John Flick, Mothra, Carol Ann, Old Glory Standard. Thanks for being YouTube members. Gene Romaine, Daryl Hammerquist, Texas number 1, Darren 175, John Attard, Pink Volo, Barry, Winding Road, and all of our other YouTube members. Thanks, Fleer, Ted Williams. Thanks for watching. Thomas Hall. Thank you for watching. Who Shot JR, and all of our other viewers. And thanks so much to Khan for the gift memberships. Khan just gave 5 people gift memberships. So nice of you. Also, Veritas Justus, thanks for your support as well. Very nice of you. Look at the sun coming up on the Lebanon border camera. There you go. See, when the sun comes up on the Lebanon border camera, you can see that above the lights there are these hills. Sometimes we see flashes, which I think are airstrikes in those hills. All right. Anyways, look, if there's big news tonight, I'll come back on the air. We will certainly have more coverage of this. More news coverage coming up for you. So, but that is it for this live stream. Thank you for joining me on this live stream, and I will see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.